AMK5. AMK5. It's a 3-page memo, I believe. Have you seen it?
Yes.
So the challenge with AMK5 is that even though it's part of your submissions, it's not dated. There is no heading, so to speak, but there is a subject that gave us some context. I assume it's a memo, but I do not want the record to rely on my assumption. So I would allow you to elaborate the nature of AMK5 as much as possible. And if you can indicate the date in which it was issued or written, we'll be grateful.
This was a memo or a petition which I wrote to the lead counsel and copied to the president, the chairperson, and the commissioners, and the AG, and the solicitor general. Because I didn't have the original, but this was around the first week of July 2018. So it was basically just like the subject matter says, from the secretary to the lead counsel, and the subject was conflicts of interest affecting the integrity of the commission. This was a protest memo, yes.
And I believe this memo came after the exercise of selling the tractors.
Yes, yes.
Before we dip into the memo, can you paint the feeling around the memo, around that time?
I think the feeling would be, if you looked at the issues which I raised concern about, it has been, those issues have been, prevalent in one way or another throughout the 1 year. But more particularly, after experiencing what happened, how the livestock fiasco, I call it, was made. And for me at that time, there was no other reason, because after the sale was transferred to the sheriff, and the sale was done, and nobody had the official, but everybody knew it wasn't as successful. There was already a frustration. on my side that it could have been better had a spanner not been thrown in by, I mean, it's normal to take it to the High Court, but the circumstances under which it went, you know, the speed in which it went, I mean, to be frank, I was shocked. I mean, in the sense that...
Which sale are you referring to?
No, first I was talking about the livestock.
The livestock, okay.
After we did the tagging and the valuation, the manner it was handled and the intervention of the lead counsel,
Proceed.
you know, in transferring taking it to the court and then obviously taking it to the sheriff, which is not a problem, had it yield the results that I was anticipating or other people were anticipating, I don't think there's no dispute about it. But yielding the results that it yielded after the court order, I don't think even the lead counsel then was proud to talk about it in any form, on email or in any form, just like I would expect that, you know, like you said, the commission had handled something and then it has been concluded. Somebody would have followed up proudly to say, well, after our court order, this is the results, the sheriff, and had gotten back to us, and it's good. But we all knew that it wasn't good, and I would not entirely blame the sheriff at that moment for what happened. So that happened, and then it came to the tractors also. Like I said here, the first few days of the tractor sales, I felt a similar pattern of interference, which I knew was in no interest for the public good. So I saw, and also the luxury vehicles, the finance ministry. I think I said yesterday, the lead counsel had an overreach, you know, visible or invisible hand that was making the commission's work, in my opinion, it's the opinion of the commissioners, as Surata says, it's their commission, they are the decision makers, but at the end of the day, it belongs to it's nobody's personal thing. So as an observer and as a citizen, as a keen follower, and as somebody who had inside knowledge about what was happening in the different processes, about different assets, I felt that I had to take the responsibility to make some people aware, you know, of the big picture. And I did not see anybody else to put that blame on other than the lead counsel. So I decided to write a petition. You know, it doesn't matter what the title is, but it was a petition, effectively, against the lead counsel. So that's how I felt. And I just sat down. Maybe this whole letter took me less than 30 minutes because there were issues that were burning in my head. So I just took them out of my head, I put them on paper, and then I distributed it.
And the memo was addressed to the lead counsel?
Yes.
You mentioned you distributed the letters. The letters, you mean the memo, right?
Yes, the memo.
You distributed the memos to whom?
Well, like I said here, I gave the lead counsel a copy. I gave to my staff, the secretarial staff, to send the copy to the chairperson, and also to send a copy to the office, because we always have people going up and down issuing letters, so they could easily take it from me, you know. And they sent a copy to the AG and the Solicitor General, and I asked them to file a copy.
And a copy was also sent to the President?
Yes, to the office.
Yes. So there are 6 issues in this petition.
Yes.
Ordinarily, the Assembly would not look into these issues. However, these are peculiar because they go into the heart of the administration, thereby affecting one of the mandates of this committee, which is the identification mandate. So briefly, I would like you to take the issues one by one, and we need not to read it verbatim, but just explain a gist of what occurred in every issue.
Yeah, the first issue I titled as interference with Commission's orders. Yes, basically I address here, one of the issues I addressed here was the issue of the luxury vehicles, because the Commission was investigating this, and I just explained this morning how I was asked to make follow-ups. And to do that follow-up, I went with one of the staff of the lead counsel, which is Ibrahim Akoli. Now I see the name. Ibrahim Akoli was a junior counsel. So because I was going to the ministry, I need somebody, maybe as a witness, I mean, if you want to do that, to go with me, to witness my discussion with the minister or the permanent secretary, that anybody I may find there. So when I went with the junior counsel, we met, I went to see, yeah, there was 3 of us, is it? And there was another one from the MOJ. I don't know why I went with all the 3, but maybe I wanted more witnesses. So we confronted the permanent secretary because the minister was out. And my conversation with the permanent secretary indicated that the lead counsel, because in the presence of the lead counsel, the commissioners were expressing their frustration, or they are not understanding why the Minister of Finance or Ministry of Finance was trying to sell the vehicles when they are still under investigation technically. And I remember, yes, this was in the presence of the lead counsel, and there was nothing, she made reference to the fact that she knew what the finance ministry was doing. So when I went there with these people and the permanent secretary told me that the minister was being advised by the lead counsel, well, I felt that the lead counsel could not sit with the commissioners and at the same time advise the finance minister to do otherwise, different from what the commission was doing, and pretend not to have a hand in it, so I consider that interference.
That information, how was it communicated to you? Was it a telephone conversation or face-to-face conversation, or was it in writing? The information that the lead counsel was advising the ministry.
Yeah, I explained this morning, and I wrote here in my petition, when I sent a petition to her, I said, in a visit to the office of the finance ministry, I was accompanied by your junior counsel, Ibrahim Akoli, and Fatou Drame of Ministry of Justice. We were told by the permanent secretary that Amadou Sane's attempt to sell vehicles belonging to the ex-president was preceded by a constant communication between you and Honorable Sane. I was totally shocked to hear that the lead counsel of all people who told me in black and white that she had no knowledge about the Ministry of Finance attempt to sell was actually in touch with the minister, Amadou Sane, to frustrate the commission's orders. So with detractors, your actions in the past few days suggest explicitly and implicitly that you have been orchestrating political interference in frustrating the tractor sales. It does not tally well with the strange and dubious instructions are coming from the office of the Secretary General, who is your brother, supporting your nuances and dispositions for the livestock. Your complete silence after the sales fiasco is inconsistent with your aggressive pursuit of intervention prior to the fiasco. So I kind of summarized 3 issues there. I tried to show that how she was aggressively pursuing the livestock matter and the silence that she exhibited after this sales by the sheriff, for me, was inconsistent.
Can you exemplify that inconsistency?
Yeah. I mean, she was the only one that was involved in every process of the livestock all the way to the court order, to the end. So I felt that she was asking me all the questions. Basically, there was a correspondence, I think there was an email where she was telling me, I need to ask you this, Mr. Kurang, because when I am asked, I have to know how to explain. So, because I'm trying to tell her, but why are you trying to tell me that 1,500, for example, is enough to go to Kanilai petrol? Why are you trying to tell me that some of the, we should sleep in Kanilai instead of wasting petrol to come? I mean, you are being too pushy on me. And she responded to me, I need to follow you, I need to ask you, because if I am asked, I need to explain. I have nothing to respond to that. I think that's okay.
And those issues were issues of investigation or issues of secretariat administration?
These were not investigation matters at all. These were purely administrative matters. But like I said, the lead counsel is everywhere. So I felt that this was my territory. She was just maybe supposed to assist me or advise me, but she was putting me to task, which is okay. But if now that is done, and she was the one who pushed the process to move it from the commission to the sheriff, and eventually it got to the sheriff, I felt that she should come back to the commission and take the same responsibility to tell us what happened. I'm not saying she's legally obliged to do that, but I expect that as fiduciary responsibility, sort of. I didn't see that. I was disappointed. With the tractors, I felt that the lead counsel had an interest in the tractors. I'm not saying that she wants to own a tractor or to drive it. No, I don't mean that. I just mean that she had an interest in the tractor because, yes, the lead counsel had approached me and tell me that she wants a tractor. Well, for me, there was no problem with that. Like you asked me a question here, I just advised what I think was right, which is if you want a tractor, she said that time she wanted a tractor for the son.
Let's put a pin on that issue, and I promise I will not put a pin on it for long. We'll come to it very shortly. I would like to move to the second issue, so I can explain that. However, before we move, I had made a proposition to you earlier. I'll make it again. Because lead counsel is not here, she will have her day with the committee eventually. But just to put a proposition to you, that perhaps she asks for the tagging and valuation to halt in compliance with both the interim orders, actually in compliance with the interim order, which obliged the commission to subject its order to a high court order. What would you say to that?
Well, she is not the commission. She is not the commission. So I remember it keeps telling me, we are the commission. She is an advisor to the commission. Okay, technically. But even if she is the commission, my argument is not to say that she has no right or she should not to preserve value, interfere. But what I was simply saying, that as a genuine concerned individual, if you move the process from here to there, at the end of the process, you are the connected person. You may take it upon yourself to inform the commission because you are concerned with preservation of value. You can come back to the commission voluntarily and say, why don't we follow the sheriff and find out what's going on? I just think that's normal. And that's not only it. And the other point of taking it to the court order, I just answered you, the commissioner, the chairperson signed the order. So I just thought that the commissioners should be, the initiative could come from them. That's a possibility. I'm not the legal person, but I leave that to you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next point. Interference and manipulation of commission's budget. Was this something that you felt the lead counsel was encroaching upon?
Well, that reminds me, because I haven't read this memo for me.
Take your time.
You know what I mean? When we were having discussion, for example, about the budget, there is a statement here. You asked me, why was the commission not running its own budget? So I made reference here, which I said, when it was suggested 1 year ago for the commission to manage her own budgets, you were the first to object on the grounds that it was improper. Well, maybe there are legal grounds for that. Let's assume you are right, I said. However, your action on budget matters remain questionable. At your discretion, wasteful foreign trips are being organized while commission salaries remain unpaid. So I said, yeah, I raised issues here because as a secretary also, sometimes I'm more like a small administrator, and if I hear frustrations from other people, I would have to reasonably come up with those things which I think affect the public interest. So I raised the fact that she organized trips, which in my assumption, even if they are not coming from the pocket of the commission, they are coming from maybe some budget relating to the commission. And at that moment, I felt that the priorities should have been in budget matters, paying people. I think I had a responsibility to speak not only on my behalf, but also people that report to me, because when I see them distressed, maybe they haven't been paid for 2 months or 3 months, and I see the lead counsel and maybe, counsel that she brought from our chambers going on a trip, I just feel I'm not worried about trips. I mean, I just think that budget is budgeting a priority at that moment. And also because at that moment I felt that those decisions, whatever the decision, she may come and say it's the AG that decide whatever, but these are commissions, staff working with her. I may feel that at that moment the commissioners, if I ask for explanation of the commissioners and they don't know about a trip, then it's possible that the lead counsel could organize a trip without even a written endorsement of the commissioners. And that's what obtained at that moment in time, which may be the fact, because she is in charge of the investigation. If she need to send somebody to Basse, she don't have to take an excuse. Same way, maybe if she need to send somebody to Dubai, I don't know, but I just felt that as a stakeholder, that affects the general financial situation, and I have to bring it in a petition. And I said here also, how could you still bill state parastatals for legal fees on percentage basis and claim that 10% auction sales? So, you see, there were a lot of discussions about expenses here. And, it's a simple thing of what is good for the geese is good for the gander. If you don't want to pay Augustus Prum 10% and you genuinely mean that you don't want to pay him 10%, then somebody can ask you, do you mean that across the board you don't want to pay anybody 10%, you don't want to pay Alpha Capital 10% or anybody or Mamadi Crown 10% or whatever? Is that a general policy? Because I had the chairman talking about 10%. So, but that was not mentioned here. What is mentioned here is if we have to do things, because there is something with a commission order. If you give people an order and to execute the order, they need resources to execute the order. and you do not give them the resources, or you ask so many questions before you can even give them the resources to the extent that the action is frustrated. That's just like tying my hands, throwing me into the pool, hopefully not the sea, and asking me to swim. So why that? Because if you said go and do an auction, whether it's a livestock or a cattle, and then you tell us, I mean, you making arguments and impediments about the expenses that needed to execute that. Do you really want people to succeed? So for me, the lead counsel was actually among the five of us, the one that is putting all the arguments about what needs to be spent, what doesn't need to be spent. She was a counsel, she was not an administrator. I think that was too much interference. To advise the Commission on Legal Matters does not mean that you have to take a stance about what should be spent and what not should be spent. I don't know where that mandate came from. So I had to express it, here, and to appeal to her conscience that it is possible that in another circumstances you might accept it. But why would you not accept it in these circumstances? That was the essence of number 2.
Okay, thank you. So, just 2 clarifications. 1, did lead counsel have a budget of her own with regards to the legal and investigative team?
A budget of her own? I am not aware of any budget of her own, because the legal and investigative team, when they need to go somewhere, usually I will be involved. I mean, not always, but a lot of times.
Okay.
I will be involved, and then I will do the necessary administrative to facilitate them in terms of logistics, fuel, and so on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about the issue you just mentioned about traveling abroad? She traveled abroad with, you say?
I don't think she traveled, maybe the staff. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well,
who traveled? Was it for the purposes of the commission? And was it commission resources that were expended?
No, the statement here says more disturbing is the fact. How did you have chewing-gum on your exhibit, lead counsel? More disturbing is the fact that traveling abroad is only favoring staff from your personal chambers at the expense of commission staff and state councils. So I made reference because at that time Ananjai was from the Bensouda chambers, and there were other state councils, and yeah, I feel responsible. Maybe I had people complaining, and as an administrator, you don't only project your individual interests. When you protest for the interests of others in order to be a credible administrator. So I raised that because Anna was maybe traveled, I don't know to which country. You can get the details. But this was the essence of the matter. I'm not talking about her own traveling.
So it was indeed a commission-related travel.
Yeah, Janneh had properties abroad, or suspected to have properties abroad. I think there was Morocco, there was America, and maybe this relating to those kind of trips to go and check those properties.
Okay. Let's move on to the other issues.
Yes, there was number 3.
And this time, just try and keep it brief. If there's any clarifications, I'll elicit it.
Number 3, I talked about questioning of witnesses. I think the chairperson was here, and the chairperson was saying that the lead counsel excused herself from Social Security. But I think for me that was a bit of a misleading statement. because for almost a year, what does it involve? It's a state parastatal. So many witness statements collected. The lead counsel was one of the counsels of the parastatal, and then led an investigation team into the parastatal to collect statements, interview witnesses, make them present. Only after so much evidence have been collected for the lead counsel to come and say, I'm excusing myself. I mean, that's crocodile tears. I mean, why would you want to excuse yourself for a conflict of interest? What is the problem with conflict of interest? Because you may interfere. It's one of the things. You interfere with the evidence, interfere with the witness. If you are the counsel of the parastatal and you collect all that evidence and know everything, all the documents which you may not even have access to at the time you were counsel, you now have access to them as a lead counsel, and then upon that, you excuse yourself. So if the chairman says he's excused herself from Social Security, the question is at what point and how much did she collect? How many people did she interview? How many witnesses? How many evidence did she collect before she excused herself? So I had talked about that in 2018.
Were there specific instances of interference with regards to this issue by lead counsel?
No, I'm not here to talk about to verify or not verify interference. We talk about conflicts. I'm not sure whether you think it's the same as interference.
Not at all.
Okay. So what I mentioned here was the witnesses. We have been requested to recall Social Security on the status of their properties, and now it seems you've given it a deaf ear. Yeah, that means the commissioners have expressed that they want to hear about Social Security properties, and I have communicated that to the lead counsel, because when I use deaf ear, commissioners communicate through me. So if I had mentioned that to her and it didn't happen, then I have to conclude it's a deaf ear. All indications are that you are conflicted in most aspects of Social Security. I express this.
Mr. Kurang, let's move on to issues 4 and 5 and 6. If you could wrap them up in one breath so that we can move on to more contentious issues.
So I said here, your law firm competing with the commission. If you are representing other parties in helping Janneh's landed properties, such as Future Lake Building, yeah, these are some of the properties maybe which it appeared that she represented them before the commission, and then the commission had to look at them. That's what I mentioned here. Your connection with witnesses, well, I mentioned here some connections. In one breath, professional judgment, your actions in the past few days suggest clearly that as supposedly independent counsel, you are not capable of allowing your political objective from clouding your professional judgment.
So, in the spirit of interference, I would direct you, and for the benefit of the committee, I wish to identify a document that hasn't been presented by the witness who submitted it just yet, but for the purposes of the testimony, I would wish for the witness to comment on the issues, because he seemingly has personal knowledge over the issues contained in that document. It is RS 67. If the Secretariat could assist to give the witness a copy. And if I could ask that the committee allow the witness perhaps a minute or two to identify the document and read through it.
Okay. Okay.
So just perhaps you can give it a minute for the committee to be on the same page. Honorable Chair, can I proceed? Mr. Koran,
Yeah.
to take you back to the issue of the tractor sales. Now, it's understood that the tractor sales did not occur in one place. The sale was conducted in several places.
Yes.
With that in mind, please look at RS 67 and explain to the committee what it is first, the date, what the nature of the document is, from who it's from, and who the addressee is.
This was a memo that I sent to the chairperson on the 27th of June, 2018. It was sent after we concluded the sales. Yes, and I highlighted here. It was a series of memos. Maybe this was one of the first that I wrote to highlight on the 27th, yes, to highlight some of the issues like we are discussing.
Yes, and in that memo there are several issues of interference, both internal and external. Now, I would put the internal conflicts to the side and delve straight into the external. In this memo to the chairperson, there is a fact brought out by you of what appears to be interference from the office of the president, specifically from the Secretary General. Is that correct?
You're referring to which page and which paragraph?
Please go to the third page.
Yes.
You can read from the third paragraph.
Sir, I am concerned with the circumstances that led to the so-called instruction to stop sales from the Office of the Secretary General. This is because I strongly believe that those events that led to the instruction to stop the action are either serious political interference in the Commission's work or cases of serious conflicts of interest by certain members of the Commission. Yeah.
So before you answer my question, perhaps the record would benefit from some context. Explain the circumstances around this paragraph.
Yes, you heard from the chairman when he said we don't allow any intervention. But if you ask him here, this was in reference to when I said that the last day of the sales was court workshop, and it started with a verbal instruction from the cabinet secretary, and when he came and told me that somebody from the top said you should stop this process, and I said to him, well, I have a written order, and if you want to stop it, you need to come with something written in order for me to stop it. That was what Mr. C said. Subsequent after that, the chairperson called me, and obviously he's the chairperson. I don't need something written from him because what I had written was signed by him. So when he called me, I stopped it and then went to answer.
When you say subsequently, do you mean on a separate day or on the same day?
The day that the cabinet secretary came to decide to stop the sales was the end of that. Towards the end of that day is when the chairperson called me. The very day.
Was that the third day of auction?
Yeah, that was the last day, as per the report.
Proceed.
So the chairperson, when he called, I went to answer. And what he said to me was, the process needs to stop. Then when I asked him, are you going back on the order? And he said, well, no, we're not going back on the order, but we just received a call from the State House. So, but then, he was here 2 days ago, said they never take any interference. So I don't know how you're going to reconcile those two, but this was what happened. He gave me a verbal instruction and I stopped. I went back, and when I asked him what transpired, he told me there was a call from the Office of the Secretary General. So I cannot go beyond that. I just take the chairman's word for it. But that is how the tractor sales also stopped, just like how the process of the livestock stopped with a phone call. This one also ended, my rule ended with a phone call.
So to the best of your knowledge, there was no meeting or session of the commission to rescind its decision made by way of the order to sell the tractors?
Yeah, as far as I knew, this was all that I knew. Somebody tried to stop me, the cabinet secretary, at the Kotu workshop site. I refused to obey his orders. I went ahead with what I was doing, and by the end of the day, or before I could, before I could leave the workshop, the chairperson called to say to stop everything I'm doing to come and answer.
So, just take us through. I like it when you're very animated. Take us through how it went. You received a phone call,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Take us through from then.
Which phone call you mean?
You received a phone call from somebody who asked you to seize the...
Or the cabinet secretary. Yeah, I first received the first phone call it was in the morning, and so I was in the central bank to oversee the deposit of some of the funds. And I received a call, and the person asked me if I am the secretary. I said, yes, I'm the secretary. And I said, who are you? And he he identified himself as Mr. Cisse, the secretary to the cabinet. So I said, what can I do for you?
Just before you proceed, Mr. Cisse, do you mean Mr. Ibrahim Cisse?
Exactly.
Proceed.
So I said, what can I do for you? And he said to me, well, you know, I have been asked to tell you to stop the sales or whatever process you are doing with the tractors. So I said, but, so I don't get you well. Can you explain? And he said, there is an order from the top. I said, there's an order that you should stop what you're doing. So I said, order, you mean? He said, yes. I said, from who? He said, from the top. I repeated, from who? He kept almost 3 times from the top, and he just refused to tell me from who in the top. So I just...
if I could hold you on to that point for a bit. The top of what? The top of the commission or?
In Gambia they say from the top. It means, so if somebody call you and say from the top, he means that above me.
And who is above?
The cabinet secretary?
Yes.
My little knowledge tells me maybe he was below the secretary general and then the president. I think that's a line. I may be wrong.
Okay.
He could only answer to the secretary general, the cabinet, or the president. So I don't know. That's why I tried to find out who from the top, and he wouldn't tell me that. So I told him on the phone, well, sir, I cannot take verbal instruction from you.
And the person identified himself as the Secretary General?
He identified himself as the cabinet secretary at that time.
Secretary?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is different from the secretary general.
Okay.
So I told him, well, I cannot take a verbal instruction from you on the phone. And, then he put the phone down. To my surprise, he didn't stop there. So when I left the bank, I was going to Kotu. I mean, I just arrived because there was a notice that there's going to be an auction in Kotu. So it was crowded. I mean, the public was there. Everybody was there. They responded to the notice that there will be an auction. So when I got down from the car, he was already waiting for me with his orderly and I don't know who else. And then he approached me and said to me, are you Mr. Kurang? I said, yes. Say, I am the one who called you. I said, okay, so you are Mr. Cisse. He said, yes. He said, I've come to tell you that there is an order from the top for you to stop the sales right now. So I said to him,
did he tell you who the top was at that moment? Perhaps he whispered it in your ear?
Well, I asked him the same question. I said to him, who from the top? He said, I'm telling you to stop the order, to stop, and it is coming from the top. I said to him, well, Mr. Cisse, I already told you on the phone that I do not take verbal orders. So I think he was stunned and nothing else was said. After that, he got into his car and moved from the scene, and I continued with what I was doing. And I continued what I was doing, and at the end of the day, the chairperson called me. Maybe they went through another channel. If you call on this channel, it doesn't work. You have to go through another channel. So I assume that him or whoever from the top authorized him to call me, get to the chairperson. And the chairperson called me, and basically, he said to me, well, we have received a call from the office of the Secretary General in the President's office that I said to him, the chairperson, are you resigning the order? He said, no, we will hold on. Maybe they have some requests that they want us to consider. I said, okay, there is nothing I could do because he gave me the written order. If he resigned it verbally, I don't have to insist on anything. I stopped right away.
So till the day you left, was there a written rescission, a hold, a freezing order on the previous order?
No, since I got that verbal message from the chairperson, I didn't see any order. There was no indication that the order was resigned, and And I think it was not resigned because some months after I left, there was sales, not only of the tractors, but of vehicles and shuttles, etc., etc. So I believe that the order continued after I left. The sales continued.
Now, the name Ibrahim Sise, of course, would be very, I'm sure you will not forget that name, Mr. Koran.
Ibrahim Sise, the cabinet secretary?
Yes.
No, because that name is the name. Few days later, I received a letter that my contract has been terminated, and it was signed by the same Ibrahim Sise. So maybe it's a message to me that you should have known better.
Of course, that letter was the letter of the 10th day of July 2018.
Yeah.
And you can look at that letter at 73, RS 73.
Yes, I've seen this. That's the letter.
From the date of the last day of auction, which should have been the 26th of June, to the date of this letter. So from the date that you are asked to leave, to cease sales, and to this letter,
Yes.
what occurred?
Yeah, that was about a 2 weeks period. So, as you could see, after the chairperson gave me the verbal order to stop and cease everything, you know, I came to the office and I was expecting a congratulation with my team of the job we had done, but I think I was naive. I didn't find a congratulation. I think I found what I would describe as an ambush. Because I walked in to the office the first day I came from the site, and the lead counsel was like, oh, here is the man of the moment. You can't joke with these things. I was expecting that the commissioners would appreciate the value we obtained from the sales, because I felt that when we had things like selling vehicles for 600,000, 800,000, 1 million, 500,000, 400,000, I felt that we deserve a congratulation. But what happened was the commissioners embarked on a couple of days. I think they left investigating Yaya Janneh. They decided to investigate Mamadi Kurang for 2 weeks. So during that period, why I said that, because there were so many, the chairperson sent me emails and asking me to justify, you know, why I bought breakfast for the crew following me. Why did I spend this on engine oil? Why did I spend this much on petty cash expenses? I felt that was, I had to respond. As they write, I respond to justify, because I knew that they had told me that if you have found one thing, we will refer to the authorities. I felt they will jail me. And I cannot sit down and let people implicate me for no reason. So, as fiercely as they wrote, as humbly I replied. And then to make sure they get the point. So it went to a point when my last statement was, my last letter was, if you write to me this kind of questions further, if you are not satisfied, I will refer myself to legal options. At that moment, maybe they have felt they have exhausted all their questions. And then obviously the issue went to Batam maybe, which is the justice minister got involved. Because as they are writing to me, maybe somebody had told him that we have caught the guy. So I remember went to his office And he told me, did you reply to the letter that was sent to you? I said, sir, I replied this morning. It doesn't take me long to reply them. When they write me a letter of 2 pages, I can reply them 6 pages, right, very quickly, because for me, it was your facts. I give them the facts, and I justify. They are the ones who decided to stop writing. And then when I went to Batambedo, within these 2 weeks, he called me.
You went to him or you?
He called me.
Oh, I see.
They brought a message. They said, the AG wants to see you.
And when I brought a message?
Oh, everybody there is an AG staff. So somebody must have called, he must have sent one of the staff to tell me.
So is there usually another channel for AG to speak to the commission? Does he speak to his staff to speak to you?
I think I got a call from the AG's personal assistant or something. Yes, because as the secretary, I'm on phone calls with members of the Ministry of Justice.
Okay, proceed.
So when I got the call, I went to answer, and I think by the time the chairperson or whatever, or the commissioner, I don't know who, but people in the commission must have met the AG. And obviously he was getting all the correspondence. They were writing to me, they write to me, they copy me, I copy him. He gets, because he needs to know, I think that point is critical. So he knew the story. So he said to me, well, you know, the executive has decided to cut the story short. The executive has decided that you need to resign. I mean, I think he's referring to the president, because technically the president appointed me and he needs to inform. So when he told me that, he was conveying the decision of the executive to me that I should resign. At that moment, I mean, he admitted that sacrifices I've made to see the process through. I mean, I responded to him that, well, if you think I am not needed anymore, you go ahead and do what you need to do, because you are the one who formed the opinion. So when I said that to him, I think he was not pleased with my answer, but that was my answer. So I left. He said to me goodbye. I left his office. I didn't know what he was doing next. The following day, maybe on the 6th or 7th of October, I don't know, he made a... I was already, for me, I was already disappointed with the commissioners. For them to sit idle and see, you know, all those things happening. And also, at the moment when the attorney, who said the cabinet secretary, came to me at Kotu workshop and said to me, you need to stop. I knew what takes him to drive his car from State House to come and physically stop me. I knew some people have interest in what was at Kotu workshop, and they had their eyes on them. I don't know who, but I was determined to do my job. And I could say I was even prepared to lose my job in order to do my job, because I knew challenging him at that moment. So when I had the conversation with the Secretary General, these were all series of series of events. I knew the end is near, and I had to accept it. So I went back to my office, and the following day, the AG, I was sitting in the office, I heard that there was a press conference, and the AG said my position was untenable. So when the newspapers reported it, I saw my, basically, untenable. I understood that I am not needed anymore. I didn't get the letter then. If you check the dates on the media, the letter came on the 10th. That was 2 or 3 days after the statement by the AG.
So you were saying that you were relieved of your duties before being officially relieved of your duties?
Yeah, because the secretary, the Attorney General, called a press conference specifically to tell the media that my position was untenable. I mean, I think that was a properly chosen legal word. And what I understood at that time was, there is no way I'm going to stay as the secretary from what he gave. So I assume at that time that that's it, it's over. I was waiting for the formalities. I cannot just get up and go. So I waited for 2 or 3 days. The letter came on the 10th, signed by Ibrahim Assise. This time, at least, it's a written instruction, not a verbal one. And that was it. On the 10th, I handed over, if you check my handing over notes, from the 10th, when I received the letter, I think the handing over was around the 20th. So I had to do the due process to make sure that I stayed in the commission, even though I was, not in good mood, but, duty is duty. I had to stay to make sure that every document in my possession and every exhibit, every evidence in my possession is accounted for, recorded, and signed. And the chairperson asked me to hand over to Ramatullah Sar. So she came, and we had 2 police officers, and my orderly and the commander of the PIU. They witnessed the handing over. So on the 20th, I think, I left the commission after handing over. No pending issues, nothing was left. I handed over everything. I shook hands, goodbye, I left. So when people come and say that there is this, there is that, you work it out for yourself.
On that note, on the handing over note, I would refer you to your statement on page 7, the statement you made in conjunction with our investigators.
Page 7.
The second to last paragraph. Can you read the second to last paragraph?
Upon leaving, I formally handed over all documents, including items such as golden pistols, assortment of bullets, precious metal necklaces, a Michael Kors gold-plated watch, 36 executive vehicle keys, an EcoBank CD, among other items, to Ramatullah Sar, where we both signed and had it witnessed by 2 police constables present. My handing over notes is submitted to this inquiry.
For the record, Mr. Quran, the items you just mentioned, where were they obtained from?
The
golden pistol.
Where's the notes? The handing over, where can I find it?
AMK4.
Yes, so the handing over stated, the first set, it says, I hereby hand over the following on 20th of July, 2018, handing over notes. I hereby hand over the following to Ramatullah Sar today. The number 1, the Michael Kors gold-plated watch was exhibit PR8. PR8 means, PR means presidential. So this was an exhibit brought from the State House. Yeah. This was an exhibit from the State House. Mont Blanc, 2 bottles, exhibit PR11 was also an exhibit from the State House. 2 gold coins, exhibit PR8 was also brought from the State House. One golden gun, emblem one golden goal, 128285 Saudi emblem, 9mm LLAMAP 380, exhibit PR9A with the magazine. Right, that one also came from the State House. One MKGK cap 7.65mm 233110 golden pistol. Plus one magazine with 20 bullets, PR9A with screwdriver and cleaning rod. That also came from the State House. Two precious metal necklaces, exhibit PR8, came from the State House. UTG gold medal, exhibit PR8, the same thing from the State House. Four precious stones from Badari, exhibit GEO7. This was there was a commission visit at site visit at Badari. Is a village behind Basse, where some mining activity was happening during Janneh's time. So I think the commission paid it. We went there for a visit, and these precious metals were collected from somebody who was a miner, who was paying people to mine there. So we went to him, we went to his house, and we collected these samples from his house, from him. He handed it over to the commission. Executive vehicle keys. These keys were also brought from State House, PR108. Bunch of various keys also brought from the State House. The following items were recovered from ex-president's house in Kanilai, also handed over. 30 hunting cartridges, 65 9mm bullets, one.
Mr. Koran, the list forms up of 12 items, all from the ex-president's house in Kanilai. Yes?
Yes.
And they are mostly items that are gold-plated.
Okay.
Except for documents, correct?
Okay, yes.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. And you have, I see you have attached pictures.
Yes, and there are also documents, handed over, and exhibits, because we have to account for each and every one of the exhibits. Then I also handed over my working tools, computers and so on, and the files. And that's it for the handing over.
Okay. So before I hand you over, ironically, I hand you over to the committee, I would like to clarify a few things, both from your testimony and from the testimony of the chairperson on Tuesday. I would like to know whether the commission at any point came into contact with the department, the State Department responsible for parks and wildlife.
I think you asked yesterday, and I was saying that what I remembered was when we visited Kanilai, because the commission went to Kanilai and went round, and the animals, specifically the hyenas, were judged to be in a very bad state. So the commission authorized me to contact, I think we ended up contacting the horse and donkeys. So that I remember them giving me a feedback that the hyenas were taken care of and not anymore hungry. I don't specifically remember
But do you know whose decision it was to contact the Horse and Donkey Trust, as you had indicated yesterday?
Well, the decision obviously is always the commissioner's decision. They have to give the go-ahead.
Well, it's not always obvious. Yesterday, we had testimony to the effect that value was emanated from the Office of the Investigators and Lead Counsel. So
yeah, but then the commissioners have to agree.
Okay.
They have to agree to accept that value. Don't agree, it doesn't go.
Okay. So if I could direct you to your statement with the investigators on page 9, I would like to clarify a few things, especially with regards to the chairperson's testimony on Tuesday.
Okay.
To avoid you having to read, I'm sure you're exhausted at this point. This portion talks about some forensic accountants coming from a US consultancy company. Can you briefly just comment on their time here, their purpose, and how they helped the commission?
Yeah, I mean, these were accountants I came across.
Again, Mr. Kuran, you say you came across them. It fascinates me when the commander of record of a commission just comes across something. Did you have any prior contact with these consultants before they came into the country?
No, I mean, like I said, the lead counsel seems to know and be aware of most things. So these things people came through the knowledge. We came to know about it because I would be the one to inform the commissioners. And I think I came to be aware of it through the lead counsel that they are coming. And when they came, they were presented as consultants from America. Apart from that, we only maybe started getting bits and pieces as you ask more and more. We found out that from what we could gather from the lead counsel, so that there was a foundation donation. Well, I think I had a name like Ford Foundation or something. That these people are being paid to something like that. We asked about 3 of them. They are from America. I remember I asked him in the presence of one of the commissioners, Abiose, because we are both accountants, and we are very keen about when we see somebody coming from another country and say he's an accountant. So I was told at that moment that their pay was $1,500 per hour while they're in the country. It was a bit tricky to me because as an accountant and somebody who had been in the profession, I would like to know why would somebody bring an accountant all the way from America, 3 accountants, to come and do work when we have accountants in the Gambia and all qualifications are the same. I am in the Gambia, but I have a UK qualification. I'm ACCA qualified. So technically, I'm a UK accountant. And another person is an American accountant, even though he's in the Gambia. So if you bring somebody from that country and is an accountant, and accounting, we don't have masters or PhD, we just have chartered. And we are all chartered. It becomes curious. So we try to find out what they are going to work on. But to cut the story short, after a while of coming, maybe they come, they work for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they fly back to America and come back again. We were worried, what did they do? What did they produce? So I don't remember, as the secretary, I only saw a few pages about NAWEC, and I was told that they are working on NAWEC to analyze the financial statements of NAWEC.
Who were you? Who told you?
The lead counsel was the one directing them. They became part of they were added to her investigation team.
I see.
So they were directly reporting to her. We could only be ask. So I began to realize that they only worked on one company, which is NAWEC. It didn't go well because our expectation was that they would have been doing all the dirty jobs that we had there. I mean, technically, not dirty in that sense, but the hard job. But it didn't go because what happened was after we had to recruit local accountants, and I was participating in that. Some of the people who came, brought in, I knew them before as accountants, and they worked for about a year. Even after I left, they still continued to do analysis, and they are Gambians, and we were paying them less than $1,000 a month.
So let's establish something. Who sourced these American accountants?
Who what?
Sourced. Who found them? Who appointed them?
I was curious because at the time I knew that the lead counsel is not an accountant. So how would she be able to invite an accountant to the commission if she would not be able to, like, it's just like me going to America and bringing lawyers. I mean, how will I look? What do I know? So when I inquired further, we found out, and somebody told me at that moment that it was one Mr. Alpha Barry who introduced them to the lead counsel. That's what I had at that moment. And it makes sense to me because I don't expect that a lawyer would bring in accountants without interference of an accountant. And I felt at that time, I was an accountant, one of the commissioner is an accountant, at least we should have had an input of which accountant should come. But we did have an input eventually when it came to recruiting local accountants, myself and Abiose.
So please expound on who appointed those accountants.
The local accountants.
The local accountants.
Yeah, when we realized...
Perhaps to give them their due.
Their due. We need to give them their due because
local accountants.
I was very proud of the work that the local accountants did. It came to a point we realized that there's so much information here and so much financial analysis need to be done. There is no way the commissioners could do it, even with me alone. So we need accountants, and I think it came to a point we realized we need at least 2-3 accountants or so. So we were discussing with Abby, myself and the commissioner, because we are the accountants there, of who to recruit and how to recruit. So I remember the accounting, chartered accountant list in the Gambia is not that big. We made a list of who is available. Who is available means somebody who is not employed, has flexible hours, maybe is a consultant, part-timer, and then could come and spend time with the commission. We approached several people. We ended up having two privates, and then there was public. I think the commission got accountants from the Auditor General's office. 2 people came, and then there were 2 private accountants who also did a fantastic job. Sankum Pilat, he worked with me. He's a chartered accountant, and I was proud because I was his teacher when he started the ACCA. He had experience, went to the UK, qualified. He spent time, I left him at the commission when I left. You know, he was my friend, but professionally, he had to continue to do the job. He did fantastic. There was Bakari Sanyan, who also is a chartered accountant. He was a consultant. He had worked with me as a teacher at Jollof. So they're qualified, and they stayed in the commission for almost more than a year or 2, and they produced great amount of results, far much better than what the Americans did. And that was my conviction, and that was my frustration.
So, not to compare the foreign and local, as you put them, accountants, but you had established that the American accountants or the consultants were paid from a fund. That's correct?
Yeah, because for the commission staff, I would know what everybody will pay. I would process, at the end of the month, I would do a list of, based on what the MOJ gave me, these are the people attached to you, and I know who is there, and everybody. I'll make a list and then submit it to the accountant at the MOJ through the AG and the Secretary General, the solicitor, to the accounts office in the Ministry of Justice for payments to be made of allowances that are agreed with them, etc. When the private accountants came also, the Gambian accountants, after they are recruited, the commissioners will have to agree on the terms with them, how much they're going to pay them. I will do the contracts, and the chairperson will, or one of the commissioners will sign the contract to engage them. So I'm responsible for processing payments for anybody who is a contractor or etc. working with the commission. And I never process any payment for the accountant. I was never asked to process payment for the American accountant. So I had to ask who is paying them. So that led us to this statement that they are being taken care of by a special fund donated. And yes, I did have conversation even with the AG, which established that there was a fund, not only with the lead counsel.
Who was the custodian of the fund? Was it the government of the Gambia or the commission?
Well, not the commission. I think the lead counsel, the AG, would be the best to answer that, because they are the only people who, as far as I could tell, knew something.
Mr. Kuran, just clarify something I'm grappling with. When the chairperson came in his testimony, the Americans were here on a mission, and part of that mission was to digitalize the documents of the commission. In your testimony, the Americans were accountants. Now, I don't doubt Americans. I know they are very multi-talented. But which one is it?
I think it needs clarity. What the chairperson I listened to the testimony was referring to is American security personnel. Yes, we had meeting with them from the Home Office. You know, in America they say the Home Office, that's like the Interior, Ministry of Interior. These people, what they were interested in is they want to follow the commission to see whether there are people of interest to the American government, and they could obtain evidence from the commission in order to take the steps that they need to take in the US. From what I could understand with the meeting, because there was a briefing, they came through the AG and the lead counsel, and I was arranging a meeting with them and the chairperson and the commissioners. This is what I got. This is a different team. This was the team, because they cannot take photocopies of those documents. If you look at the documents we receive in the commission, I don't even know how to describe it. It's bigger than your library. The number of papers there, thousands and thousands of pages.
Mr. Kuran, have you been to our library?
Yes, I am very lazy when it comes to information. Anyway, one of my ex-students used to walk around there. So basically,
fine, the distinction is well.
Yeah, so this group of Americans has security from the Ministry of Interior in America, Home Office. Yes, their interest was different. The other group, I met that group also, are purely accountants. So they didn't come at the same time, and they have nothing to do with each other. These orders come from a private accounting firm in America, because I had dialogue with them.
Do you remember the name of the private accounting firm?
I can find out some name, some American name. I wouldn't want to guess now.
Please, once you find out, please furnish the committee.
Yeah, maybe I'll be able to find out. So it's two different groups. What the chairperson was talking about, because they cannot carry all those documents to America, they have to find a solution to digitalize them. And I think they came with scanners. I wasn't there, but there was conversation before I left, and I arranged a meeting with them and the chairperson. So the conversation, I believe, at the time was to digitalize it. And to digitalize, you need heavy-duty scanners. So I heard that later they came with some large-scale industrial scanners.
When you say I heard later, was it because it was after you had left the commission?
Yes. After I had left the commission, I even had one of the journalists, Swandy, talking that they brought military grade scanners. So, and I believe it because I saw the process started before I left. They were going up and down, but they cannot carry all these documents, so they have to find a way. So I think they provided the commission.
Again, if I could just the proposition to you that one day you woke up, reported to work, and again you see new faces without you being prompted formally. Was that the case?
You mean the Americans?
From the Home Office.
Yeah, I mean the security, this lead counsel will come as usual and say, I'm being in touch with the AG and there are these people that are coming and this is what they are interested in. And then I will arrange a meeting with the chairperson and the commissioners, and then when they come, they explain, then I begin to understand, but I was not involved in any way in the process of bringing them.
Very well, let's move on. Mr. Kuram, the conversation with you will not end today. Oh. I'm sure we'll have many more conversations, but if I may take you back to the receipts.
Yeah.
The receipts that you issued to the successful bidders.
Yeah.
We had established that there were just generic receipts, that the commission did not have its own receipts.
Okay.
And because of that, you had to improvise, and there's a portion for your signature.
Yes.
However, there is no portion for the signature of the buyer.
Okay.
Or the successful bidder.
Yeah.
As an accountant, please advise, how could the committee determine the authenticity of the receipt with specific respect to how much you would have received? How would the committee or the commission know that if you look at the first receipt, which is a receipt issued to one Buba Mane for $31,000, and the description of the asset is put in place,
okay,
and a signature is endorsed on it. Buba Mane has not signed the receipt. What is to say that Buba Mane did not give Mr. Kurang 50,000 and Mr. Kurang disclosed 31,000?
Well, good question. I think you've seen the reports, the written reports, and these receipts and all the reports were submitted to the commissioners. And also in the reports you saw that there were deposits to the central bank. We were actually the first to make any meaningful deposit into the account, commission's account at the central bank. And I had the chairperson telling you that money was used for TRRC, etc. But there was an account in which eventually the money goes. So if, for example, let's say all these documents get burned down, even if the bank gets burned down, as we say, the bank is about information, it's not about the money. That account would always be in some cloud or digital network. But in July or June, so much was deposited into that account, and if you check it, you check the reports that were submitted to the chairperson, you will see that the amounts collected were deposited.
Right? Who deposited these amounts?
Yes, I took responsibility. I give receipt. I have to deposit the money.
So my question lingers in the air.
Yeah.
You took the monies.
Yes.
You went and deposited.
Yes.
There's no point there where there's a check or balance.
What check balance?
So, was there someone else with you when you were receiving the monies?
Yeah, I told you that usually...
Did the successful bidders ever sign any other documents to acknowledge that this is what they gave you? Such kind of checks.
I explained the process to you, that there is a bidding process and there is an auction. The final amount is witnessed by all, when the last bell ring, the amount is very clear. So in that case, it means that the amount that is the final one, right, is clear, and that is the cost, the buyer who carries the day and pays immediately.
All right, so let's make it simpler.
Okay.
I give you 5,000.
Yes.
You issue me a receipt.
Yes.
Perhaps you don't even issue me a receipt. You write a receipt
Okay.
for 3,000.
Yes.
And you go and deposit that 3,000 in the bank.
Yes.
You report to one Mr. Lamin,
Yes.
who is your superior, that
Okay.
you have deposited the monies, you sold it for 3,000.
Yes.
How does Mr. Lamin ascertain that it wasn't in fact sold for 5,000?
Well, first of all, the assumptions are preposterous. One, the whole process is explained that it's a very transparent process. I'm not holding you to that. Two, right, when I give you a receipt, that is what you have to claim, the assets that you have bought, isn't it? So if a receipt is given to you and then you come back, right, of course the receipts, all these receipts are duplicates, and the duplicates are also submitted. You come back, how would you be able to claim if the receipt is not given to you? I know what you are insinuating, and I know with regard to what happened after I left, right, where so many vehicles were sold with very little price. I mean, one could make this kind of assumptions. You understand? But looking at the picture, what you are explaining is just a small part of the process. Looking at the whole process as a legal person, the whole process, the integrity from the starting of the auction to the bidding, transparent bidding, the final bell, the amount of the final bell recorded and paid for on site at that moment, right? And then obviously within the same period, the amount is deposited, and the amount deposited is verified, and the amounts that they were sold for, bringing so much value for the commission, and after my sales, nobody brought that kind of money. So what do I have to justify myself? Anybody can ask anything you want. But if you ask me 10, there are a million questions you will ask. You are obliged, lead counsel, to ask elsewhere.
But of course, Mr. Kurang, lead counsel was not part of the auction.
No, I get the point. I mean, you have to assume the benefit of the doubt. And I appreciate your question, because I think, yeah, for the mind of an accountant or an auditor, but you see, if you read the audit report, and it was said, for example, we didn't see any proof. They know, the auditors know how to trace. If they get access to this receipt, which is with the commission, right, they will be able to trace the sales that have been made in this period into the account. And what they have not been able to establish is whether sales that were made after this. Because I saw the report that when after the demonstration, there was a list on the evening that we were released that was thrown in the social media. And what happened there? That list that they published on the last day, on the day we were released from jail, was a jumble up of all my receipts together with the other receipts that other people make. I said, this is ingenious. Who did this? Who did that? How can you do that? My sales happened in June 2018. I sold 43. The other people, their sales happened in October, 6 months later, or November. Then when people ask you for a list, you go, you take my list, you use an Excel, and then jumble up with the other list that the other people do because you want to confuse people. No, all the high value items for vehicles sold came from me. That was bad. That's not good. That's not good.
Fair enough, Mr. Kurang. On the issue of auditing, you had mentioned auditing. Are you referring to the external auditors, that is the NAO?
Yes.
Was there any internal audits done at the commission? Was there such mechanisms?
At what stage?
At any stage?
Yeah, because
your time.
You have to, I mean, we started receiving money and 1 week later or 2 weeks later I was out of the commission. So before the sales, what would you have audited? Because the other items that we were collecting, we request and the MOJ will bring them. The MOJ will bring them like we request for stationery, and the accountant will go and purchase it and bring it. So I think, yes, maybe they have audited, but they will not dare come to me and ask me a question. Maybe the auditor can come and see whether the A4 is there or the computer is there. Yeah, but in answer to your question, I did not remember meeting.
That's fine. Thank you so much, Mr. Quran. And again, as I have stated, this would not be the last time we'd be having a conversation. But at this moment, I would hand back over to the committee. Honorable Chair. Yes.
Thank you so much, Council. Thank you, Mr. Quran, for showing up once more to testify before this very special committee of the National Assembly. I think my colleague, we were listening to you very keenly, even though the lead counsel was trying to get facts from different, areas. But I believe, my colleagues, we were all trying to put our questions to clarify some of the things that you've responded to. And I think we will bring them up. What we will be interested in more is perhaps the questions from my colleagues will have to be straightforward, and then you can also give straightforward answer so that we can, buy some time from the whole process as well before we close for today, huh?
Yeah.
So we just open. Honorable Ture, you can go first.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Quran. We have several questions, but we will try to cut them down. My first question is about the information you give on the tractors. In your statement where you mentioned just the first line on the tractors in page 2 of your statement, that concerning the 500 tractors procured through a $6 million loan from India. I'm just wondering where you get that information. Is it the 600 that purchased the 500 tractors, or is just $6 million is just part of an amount that bought the 500 tractors?
There was testimony before the commission.
Yes.
And the testimony, I think, from the Minister of Finance, testimony from Social Security, and testimony from the Maintenance Service Agency. And the testimonies indicated that the Indian government or the bank in India, whatever, supplied the tractors. But it has to be guaranteed by somebody in the government or an association related to government. So I think Social Security was brought in as one of the guarantors. So the tractors were brought, but they were valued at 6 million. So it means that I give you 500 tractors, I bring them from India, and their value is 6 million. You will pay me 6 million over a period of time. That was the evidence presented.
Okay. Yes, thank you. The other issue is the exact date you left, because in your write-up, this is not my original one, I don't know where, but in my write-up you have, it says something like late June, and in another sentence somewhere you also said July. So exactly when did you left?
Which page, sir?
It's in your write-up. This is my yesterday. But my, is that yours? Well, you know, it's the same statement. But he was mentioning his time for leaving. Maybe you can just find that out later.
Okay.
And then inform us.
But the dismissal letter was on the 10th July. I handed over on the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. Yes, Mr. Kura, when you said you went to the Ministry of Finance to find out why they have not replied to your questions when you were inquiring on certain things. And in the PS told you that the minister has traveled. However, he said it was the instructions of the lead counsel to sell Janneh vehicles.
Luxury people.
Luxury vehicles.
Yes.
My problem is when the lead counsel was, when you were writing all those letters and also writing follow-up letter, and when the decision was made, what was the lead counsel not in the scene when you were making decisions to write to the finance ministry?
The decisions to write to the finance ministry were taken by the commissioners when I sat with them, but the commissioners and I always make sure that every letter we wrote,
Yeah.
the lead counsel is copied, so she was copied.
Yeah, so that's the question. Why the lead counsel never mentioned that she was the one that actually gave instruction
No,
for the sale of those vehicles, even though you were asking all those questions?
no.
Okay. Yes. Yes, if I hear you well, you were, as secretary, you were instructed to be in charge of the tractors sales and et cetera, et cetera. But in this Balua, went there one time and then I think he did not succeed. Then he went there the second time to do valuation, as per your statement when you were speaking.
Which value?
The value for the I think it's for the cattle. You say he went to do valuation, and for the tractors.
Okay.
He went to do valuation, but I think the first time he did not succeed. But then he must have gone there. You said he must have gone there to finalize the valuation.
Oh, no, I mean that before he did the valuation, we had to show him where the location of the vehicles were.
Yes.
That was the first one.
Yes.
So I said that the actual valuation would, when he come back with his team,
Yes.
assess technically. So we witnessed to show him around, but
Yeah.
he had to go on his own and spend time, because that would take more time, and we would not be able to wait for him to look at all the technical things in a vehicle. He did that on his own with his team. Yeah.
So that was the reason why you were not present with him.
Yeah, because we had already shown him, and as a professional, we had to leave him to do his own job on his own time.
And did you think that this valuer actually did a professional job in his valuation? In your own opinion?
In my opinion, I did not see any reason to doubt him. You know, it's, if you're going to challenge a valuer, one of the areas you challenge the valuer is the assumptions. You know, I mean, like yesterday when we said, are you valuing on market value or valuing on meat value? Those are the assumptions he makes. So for a technical person, as an engineer valuing a vehicle, I'm not sure what kind of question I would ask him, but he must have some assumptions.
Yes, was any consideration given to the fact that the tractors were initially sold to or provided to communities and eventually retrieved? Whether at one time or another, consideration may be given to such communities or individual farmers in the sale of the tractors? Was any consideration given in that regard?
Yes, I could remember, like I said, that when they are taking the tractor or impounding the tractor, they would usually take the details of who was possessing it, whether it's an individual that it was given to or a community.
Mm-hmm.
And those that were communities, the commission had resolved that they should make write-ups. So that process of informing them that they should make write-up, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe by the time the write-ups come and the commission makes a decision, I was not there.
Okay.
Yes, but some tractors were identified for community purposes.
For community purposes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my final question would be, when you sold this tractor to Ja Oil for 1.2, you said the commissioners were very doubtful and wanted to, in fact, undo the deal. I cannot understand the logic or the rationale behind that. What do you think they would want to go that far to undo the deal, or is it arose out of your disagreement with some of them? Was it in good faith in your opinion?
In my opinion, there was no good faith.
There was no good
In the proposal that we are going to terminate. Because for what reason? If you said that you went and sold it less, far less than the value, I can understand and say, okay, you felt that we made a loss. But if you sold it at that value, 1,250,000, and you called the valuer justified what he did, you ask we spent a whole day arguing about this, and you spent a whole day arguing, and it was justified that this is it. It's above the board. It's a plain, simple transaction. We did, I think, maybe they have never, it was surprise to them that people don't do that. I mean, you don't do that. There is a way to make money out of this. You can find a way, take it out of the thing and then go and negotiate with somebody. They give you 200,000. You go accept it. Then you pocket $500,000. That's a simple way. Nobody will ask questions because it will not stand out. So in conclusion, I would say I didn't see any good faith, and that's why I said that's the point in which I kind of lost faith in the commissioners. I would still want to know what was going through their mind.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kuran, once again. My question is, or would go around the luxury vehicles. When ex-President Janneh was living, I think there were some vehicles that were supposed to live with him. These vehicles were packed with stuffs, however, up to about 10 could not live with him prior to his departure to Equatorial Guinea Island. And I understand that one Mr. Sissoho handed over these vehicles to the head of vehicle control at State House. What can you tell this committee about the said vehicles?
What I remembered was the commission paid a visit to the State House, and there were rows of luxury vehicles standing under a vehicle garage or hangar. I wouldn't be able to tell at that moment which one of them was left at the airport and eventually brought back, and I didn't have information, as far as I know, about which vehicles were left at the airport. So maybe the vehicle control would know, and we could cross-check it whether that was the same vehicle that was parked at the State House, but I didn't have information.
Okay, let's look at the tractors. In your statement, you said 43 tractors were sold by the commission. And I also understand that there were some tractors that were given back to farmers and as well as to the local councils, including the municipalities. Can you share with this committee, aside the 43 tractors that were sold, how many tractors were given out either to farmers or to the local councils?
For me, at the time of the auction of the 43 tractors, the municipality, I remember speaking to both of the mayors, the KMC and the Banjul, and just like I would tell civil aviation who wanted a tractor, I just advised them, you need to come to the auction if you want a tractor. Yes, like I said, only those 43 were disposed of out of the lot. At the time I was leaving, I'm sure those things happened after I left. Yeah, I did hear about some tractors being, given or whatever to the council, but it happened after I left, so I had no information about that.
Okay, I want us to look at the receipts as well.
Okay.
Yes. My question around the receipts, because looking at the nature of the receipts, they don't seem to be a letterhead. If I am wrong, you can definitely put me through.
Yeah.
Aside a letterhead, looking at the receipts as well, it seems they don't actually bear a serial number. What can you tell us around the receipts?
Yes, like the council said, there are internal receipts we used. They were not printed specifically for the commission, but the sales that were made after I left, they use government receipts, GRA receipts.
Now, just want us to specifically look at this.
Yes, I get you. They use government receipts. So it's, you can claim these are different. These are not government receipts, but we saw what the government receipts brought.
Why is it that the commission specifically was not able to provide receipts that would bear the name of the commission and its letterhead, if possible?
No, I mean, the commission cannot make, how do I call it, a receipt of its own, because at that moment, I don't think that was maybe, that was necessary. It could be necessary. You could say, you could argue it's necessary, but, it wasn't done at that moment. Because the government, right, I mean, what authority do we have to make a receipt of our own?
Are you asking a question?
No, I'm saying an idea.
Okay. You are saying an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it to be this way.
Okay.
In a situation where one wants to confirm the authenticity of the receipts that were issued,
okay,
in my own personal thinking, I would feel the receipt should bear a letterhead and also should emerge from the institution that is actually issuing those receipts.
Yeah, I mean, confirm the authenticity is what you said. The authenticity of what?
Of the receipts. How authentic are they? Are they, let's say, correct receipts or were they cooked receipts per se?
Well, you could have receipts with the letterheads and they are not authentic. You could have government of the Gambia treasury receipts, which happen after the sales, but to have the government stamp, the receipts, are they still authentic?
Okay, Mr. Kuran.
Yes.
What will you make it to say, or what will you make up about the audit report that indicates or indicated a 27 million unaccounted from Janneh's asset?
Good question. So when the auditor comes and audit the sales and audit the sales that happened on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, under me, where are the questions? They had no issue about missing money because audit is done in a process to trace the authenticity of not just one item but a whole process. I think what the commission, the 27th, what did you say, how many million?
27 million.
Missing from where?
From unaccounted Janneh's assets.
Okay, so that's why I said, when I left after these 3 days of sales, the sales that were done with government receipts. But, if the auditors come and do a check on those sales, they will have to take the list of the assets, just like how I gave you the list of the assets here. I gave you the full list of the assets with their chassis numbers, etc. So they will take the list of the assets that were there for the vehicle controls, etc. And they will say, well, where are these assets? They are no more, assuming that they have been sold. Now, they have been sold, the asset has gone. As an auditor, the asset is gone. You are looking for the money to explain the asset that has disappeared. If the asset is gone and you see no trace of the money, you said it's missing money. No missing money happened under me.
Okay, let's progress. Okay. Mr. Kuran.
Yes.
I think in one of your submissions, you did mention about political interference in the work of the commission. Will you not mind to guide this committee through and give us an explicit explanation as to how politically there was an interference around the commission?
I'm not sure which page you're referring to, but what I can say, for example, yeah, I can help you generally, not to waste your time. The chairman said there was no interference, or there is no interference with the commission. But the chairman told me that somebody called him from the office of the Secretary General or the office of the President to put a hold on his order. You may help me, Mr. Honorable, but I don't see any other way to express such, apart from political interference.
I think I'm just here to get answers. Okay, actually, I wouldn't say I'm satisfied or not.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you given answers, which is more important here.
Okay.
The rest would be left in the hand of the committee.
Obviously, the lead counsel is politically associated, and if she's interested in assets, if she I mean, obviously, I don't have time to elaborate. Maybe when we come back and you ask further questions.
Okay. Mr. Kuran.
Yes, sir.
I just want to refer you to RS 67. Yes, RS 67. if we can look at the second paragraph.
Okay.
Chair, with your permission, just to guide him, and I read that part in the second paragraph. It says, the lead counsel has not made secret of the fact that she wants the tractors to fall in political hands. More specifically, Amy Bensouda has now told commissioners that she has been trying for KMC to lay hands on the tractors. Mr. Kuren,
Yes.
aside from this statement, do you have further evidence to actually support this statement in terms of having the then lead counsel interfering in the work of the commission?
Well, this is a memo I wrote to the chairperson. I copied the lead counsel. At that moment, if they disagree, because I said that the lead counsel has made no secret that she wants the tractors to fall in political hands. More specifically, Ali Bensouda has told the commission that she has been trying for KMC to lay hands on the tractors. So I am telling you, honorable member, you said this and that, and I wrote to you, and then I copied you. Now, where is your evidence of reply to deny that?
In your evidence, Mr. Kurang, you kept saying, or you kept mentioning that you have been going with some of your staffs to the Ministry of Justice, per se. Have been going with some staffs at the Ministry of Justice.
Did I say that?
What? Yes, I would say yes.
For what purpose?
Let me just learn, because what I understand is you have not been specifically mentioning specific names in terms of those that you go with.
To the ministry? No, I never said I went with staff to the Ministry of Justice. I did say we send requests for what we need from the Ministry of Justice.
I'm still on RS 67 on the third page.
Okay. Which paragraph?
I will call it the third paragraph or the fourth paragraph that I can also read, because I think I need some clarity.
Okay.
Yes. And it says, on the third day of the auction, while standing at Janneh Hotel lobby, in the early morning hours before going to the sales site, the lead counsel found me standing with an MOJ staff. I think that's what I got wrong.
Okay, that was in the commission, yes.
Yes, with the MOJ staff. My question now is, who may be that MOJ staff?
Well, this was Fatou Dramé. I was standing with Fatou Dramé when she came.
Yeah. Just a final one.
Yeah.
On AMK 8. AMK 8, number 17. That is OC Chris.
AMK 8.
AMK 8, number 17, date 24th June 2018.
Yes.
Good. If you follow the line,
Okay.
Mr. Kurang,
Yes.
as I said earlier, I just need a clarity. Looking at the sales price,
Yes.
which is 25K, looking at the reserve price, 30,000, looking at the profit or gain, it indicates 5%.
5%?
5,000. Excuse me, 5,000.
Yes.
What will be your take to say, was this 5,000 a gain or a lose?
No,
Compared to or contrast to what you have on that document.
it was minus 5,000.
It was minus 5,000.
You see the minus sign there, the small one.
With what I have, there is no minus sign.
No.
This is why I'm seeking for clarification.
But what I have, I thought we are looking at the same exhibit.
Yeah, we're looking at the same exhibit, but mine is without a minus. It's hard to allow open up.
Anati.
If you need to allow the Bible read.
Is this not, these are mine. Yeah, show it to him.
Yeah, and I also want you to confirm here that.
Yeah, check it there.
Well, I'm going to
Moto? Imo Joni.
It's actually there. What happened is,
Yes.
I wrote on top of the minus. I pick it just for reference purpose.
Okay.
But again, as I said earlier, I was just seeking for clarity.
Yeah.
Looking at the figures. So I think for now, I would leave the rest to the rest of the members. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Omar.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Yes. No.
Yep. What is it? Mr. Kulang,
Yes, sir.
just to elaborate on page 9 of your statement, and what else do I remember that's relevant?
Okay.
Mr. Kulang, for me, I'm a bit surprised when I read the statement, and I was shocked. You as an accountant, as you rightly mentioned, we are young Gambians who are also here, who have done this job, I'm not saying better than those who came in.
Yeah.
To my surprise, you said people were brought into the Gambia and to be receiving $1,500 per hour. And at the end of the day, you are not able to trace what they have done. Can you please elaborate more on this for the sake of the viewers?
Yes. I mean, if you are an accountant and they tell you accountants are coming from another continent, I mean, even though I am already busy as secretary, but the feeling I had was that what could an accountant come from another country to come and do that we will be able to do or find people to be able to do. So therefore we keep asking, what is special with them? They said, oh, they are forensic accountants. All accountants are forensic. I mean, you could say, okay, I have some qualifications, but it's proven after they left that other people who are local did far much better job. So that for me, it was disappointing. I had to be curious about who recommended that, because I hope it's not a lawyer that choose which accountant to bring. I don't think that would have been the, I didn't think. So we kept finding out. And then, like I said, we realized that, somebody else maybe recommended them. And like I said, I was not impressed with the job they have done or whatever they have done.
And Mr. Kulang, currently amount that was discovered in an account in the Caribbean,
Yeah.
and going further, based on your statement, you were informed that the lead counsel discovered that account by paying somebody $5,000. Was that money refunded to her or what?
I wouldn't know. But this was about verbal information. Everybody knew about the Panama Papers, but everybody would reasonably ask. And this was what I recall she said. And I recall she was saying that she spoke to the AG about it, and this is something they will deal with maybe at the recovery stage or whatever. But I don't remember, saying that she's been refunded, etc. No.
And how about that account? Do you know anything about it before you left? The $30 million account?
No, I didn't hear anything further than that until I left.
Mr. Kulon, coming to the issue of the valuators, it was an issue yesterday and also today.
Okay.
Seeing and going through your AMK8 or AMK8
Okay.
on the sale of tractors,
Mm-hmm.
will you agree with me that the issue of valuation lack transparency?
In what sense?
Let's compare number one,
Okay.
in Banyundi,
Yes.
Iwamane.
Okay.
The tractor was Mahindra 275,
Yes.
and then the amount as a reserve price was what, $8,000.
Yes.
That was a tractor.
Yes.
And you come to the scrap on number 17. That was a scrap.
Number
17.
17.
Yes,
Yes.
that was a scrap.
Yes.
And the reserve price was $30,000.
Yes.
Let's compare the two. A tractor at 8,000, a scrap at $30,000 as reserve price. What was the problem?
Yes. Number 17, we ended up selling for how much? 25.
25,000, yes.
And number 1 ended up selling it for 31,000. So logically, the market values number 1 more than number 7.
Now to remember correctly what it was sold for. Because my problem here is
Okay.
for your case, it was an open auction.
Yes.
People came in and they were offering prices.
Yes.
And according to your statement, when you left, what happened next?
Yes.
We are all aware.
Yes.
But how did you actually leave from these prices, from these reserve prices, to do what they wanted to do? Because I have a reason why I'm asking this. Let's go back to the 1.2 million that we sold that tractor for.
Yes.
And it might be the reason why you left the commission.
Commission, yeah.
Based on reserve price was $75,000.
Yes.
And those who were buying, before they buy, they go and do their inspection and know the value and go with their mechanics.
Yes.
And if you look at the prices from the Kutu station,
Yes.
and then the other stations,
Yes.
it tells you that the reserve price are not genuine. Because you compete for something as a buyer, and I know the value of what I'm competing for, then I don't mind to offer anything I want to offer. The gap between the 75,000 and 1.2 was a good job done by your team, or the one who was doing the auction. My question here is, what discipline we are doing the value, we are doing the property?
Well, I mean, the valuers are professional. I have no responsibility, even yesterday, to come here and defend a valuer. I have no interest to do it, and I have no professional reason to defend a valuer. I believe that I'm a professional. When you give me a job to do, I do it professionally, and I believe that every valuer should come here and defend themselves. But like I said, when the issue of the 1.2 million happened, the chairperson and others, when we spent a whole day arguing, they called the valuer. And, I think at that point, you're down on them, they have to ask him to justify. And he had a conversation with them. But I think, in line with what you also mentioned about what happened after I left, a valuer gives you a reserve price. Knowing that it's going to be an auction, nobody is saying that the reserve price is what you must accept and go to bed. I think if you do that, you are being not genuine to the state or to the taxpayer. And people can do that in a government action and nothing will happen. There will be no special inquiry from the parliament. In this case, obviously, it's a special case. So we are here today, but the thing is that the genuinity is about the sales. I came back to the last argument 24 hours ago. I'm sorry about that. But the genuinity is about the person who is selling, or the group, or the team, or the process that is disposing. If the valuer says that, like in Coty Workshop, is 450, if you decide to negotiate with the buyers before the sale, or allow the buyers to impose themselves on you, either politically or financially, whatever, I don't think you will come out with figures like this. For example, when you are given, you said the value is 75, and then you realize that I will not even know before the auction that I will make 1.2 million from this. There's no way, because I don't know how much it is worth. That tractor was worth to the buyer. Only he knows. He knows how much it is worth to him, and he knows how much he is prepared to take out of his pocket to pay for it. But the psychological game starts, like you said, even before. If you show interest in negotiating with people even before a sale, you will never even realize that you could make 1.2 million. You may end up receiving 200,000 instead of 1 million. And then somebody will be rich, but not the state.
And during your tour of the tractors, what were the conditions of those tractors? Were they roadworthy?
Most of the tractors, except maybe the ones that are described as scrap, or some of them maybe he tried the engines and then see that they are not working. But majority of the tractors are roadworthy, right? And as you can see, anybody who is paying 400,000, even in the Gambia here, 300,000, 200,000 for a machine, the person will definitely know something about that machine, and it will be worth to him.
This is where I'm coming from, because if you look at the amount that we are paying,
yes,
and the amount that was used as the reserve price,
yes.
So this is why it looks very funny, because those who are buying knows what they were buying.
Yes.
And you went around, and those tractors were roadworthy.
Yes.
A roadworthy tractor cannot be valued at $70,000 if you are to be fair to your owner. Okay. A roadworthy tractor by then could have been valued at $70,000. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Because this is why when you are selling, you are interested in offering more.
Yes. Because it was transparent. If it's not transparent, they will offer 75.
Well, yeah, I mean transparency there, because it was open.
Yeah.
You will come offer. Yeah. But from the starting point, that's where the point is. Because if you have to go and value something, you definitely not value based on the market price, as you said yesterday. But currently now, looking at somebody value a road tractor at $3,000, $4,000, $3,000, you end up making almost $300,000 as a profit. Definitely, it was a good job, but from the value point, there was a problem. That's where I'm arguing.
Honorable, you are the state. You have access to all the government actions that have taken place in the past 20, 30 years. You'll be able to come up with numbers to show how much they were valuing them. No. And then you may find out that the values are generally in practice low.
Is this, Mr. Kuran?
Yes, sir.
We are speaking the same language.
Yes.
And we're trying to lead to one point.
Yes.
The point is point A, we are trying to rectify.
Sure.
For tomorrow, for it not to happen again.
Yes.
As you rightly mentioned, it used to happen. And it has come in again. We allow it to continue happening. We should say no to it now. As you are able to transparency. So my question here is, as you mentioned, it was very clear.
Yeah.
So I think the issue of reserve price should be looked at in the future.
Yes, number two, just one thing,
So,
sir, if you allow me.
Can I interject here? That's a very good question. I think the issue of values, perhaps we can leave that. When the values come, probably we will be able to dive on that more. Okay, and you can go into other more specific questions. I think he has responded a lot about the issue of values already.
Yes, the reason why I asked was he went plan with them to look at the tractors.
But because
but then they were roadworthy.
because he may not be able to defend their conscience when they were doing it.
Mr. Chairman, this is Janneh's assets. If you want to sell Janneh's cap, somebody can pay you $1,000 for Janneh's shoe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
But it will not happen like that in every auction.
Thank you. Thank you very much that you made that point very clear. And then, Mr. Kula,
Yes, sir.
I mean, coming to the issue of, like you rightly mentioned, I don't want to go further on that with regards to the lead counsel and her team. You made mention that there was one of her staffs. When the chairman came, this question was put to him, and I was the one who put that question to him. How long was he paid by government?
I don't, yeah, that's a good question, because I think I process everybody's salary, but I never process the lead counsel's own salary. So I don't know how she's paid. I don't unless you go back to the records and check, you know, I can't remember. I can't remember even the lead counsel how she's paid. I never seen her payment.
So when it comes to travel,
The commissioners, yes, I see their payment, I process their payment, I follow their allowances, but I've never seen the lead counsel's allowance.
yeah, Anna, when it comes to the issue of Anna, the only lead counsel, that one is something else. Because based on what the chairman said here, Anna was brought to help the lead counsel.
Yes.
So was he receiving anything from government?
I can't remember. You have to check the record.
Okay, he made an argument based on the traveling issue. When she was traveling, was he paid per diem by government?
When people are traveling, we don't process it. They process it directly at the ministry.
But you have no idea whether she was paid per diem or not?
No idea.
Mr. Kula,
Yes.
I'm sorry not to keep you no more 102, then I can give it back to my
He's getting back.
chairman. Sorry about that. I mean, Mr. Kuran, I mean, for me, I just have one more question to ask, just for you to help me and then justify when it comes to the issue of your agreement with Mr. Cisse, then that leads to the Jawel issue. You are so professional when he first asked you, you told him that an order should be what?
Written.
Written.
Yes.
When you went back to your chairman as who been the superior and who decides for you, he told you that you must halt the process.
Yes.
And at the Kotu station, the guy was there.
Yes.
Did he stop the auction or you continue the auction?
No, in fact, he was in court before me. He arrived there. The cabinet secretary arrived at court before me. And yeah, you could see in court they had some nice tractors there. People have their eye on it. And I was determined to make sure they are allocated to the fairly. So when I found him there, and I think he wants to make sure I disperse, I tell the people disperse. I mean, professionally, I don't think that would have, because the public had already gathered there. And when he was there, it was a complete silence. It's like 200 people watching me and him. And I think it would have been a big noise, because we called them and said there is an auction and people have gathered, the time we gave them has arrived, and he comes alone and verbally to cancel it. I would have I would have resigned if he managed to cancel it at that point. Maybe nobody need to ask me to resign. If that didn't go with his verbal and it was cancelled there, but people were watching and he was talking to me in the open. And I gave him the same response, and I told him, well, what I told you on the phone is the same thing I maintain. So, he left, and I continued with the sales, because I would have lost, the commission would have lost integrity. Maybe it lost integrity at some point, but it would have lost it in a very public manner, that somebody came from State House and delivered a verbal thing, and all the things that the commission was telling us went in vain. I mean, that would have been, too much.
And then the last one was about the luxurious vehicle that the businessman came to offer the $1 million. Did he buy that vehicle or not?
Well, this was an information I get. I think it was to show that there was interest, and everybody knows a Rolls Royce is a lifetime vehicle and it has no value. A Rolls Royce has no value. That is what is professionally agreed. It can be bought for any amount. It can be bought for 100,000. It can be bought for $5 million. So, especially, nobody sells a presidential Rolls Royce every day. So, as I said, if people want to pay $1,000 for Janneh's shoe, maybe how much will they pay for Janneh's Rolls Royce?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kura. I have only 2 questions. In your statement, paragraph at page 3, the second line, you said, I have received phone calls and in the person's contact from various individuals, including the mayors of Kanifing, Banjul, and lead council, and business personalities like Ahmed Jah. My question is,
Page what? Page what?
Page 3 of your statement.
Yes.
Last paragraph.
Okay.
You listed some names,
Yeah.
including business personalities. I guess the list is longer than this.
Yeah.
Now my question is, how many of those you've mentioned, both these tractors?
I didn't keep any number, but from whether it's a politician or a businessman, I just decided to keep one simple line of communication. You call me, you inquire, I tell you the
Question is, you have listed names. Oh, who express interest.
Okay.
How many of those who express interest, as you mentioned in your statement, both these vehicles from you, their names?
Well, I know for me, we sold the tractors to Hamidija. That was the 1.2 million, and maybe another one. But I had in the papers that the mayor of Banjul said that was after I left, she paid for tractors. I saw that in the media, not from me,
Yes, from you.
this was the only name from me.
Only job from you.
Yes.
Thank you. My second question is, if I heard well, when the lead counsel, our lead counsel, Mr. Diba, asked you about when you left, when they asked you to stop selling after selling that tractor.
Yes.
When you came back to the office,
Yes.
you had a meeting with the commissioners, and from what you said the chairperson sent emails asking why. So I want to confirm.
Did I write that?
No, you didn't write it. This was just a verbal response to the.
Okay.
As it was, do you mean the chairperson or
Sent emails.
you said? As I said, did you say the chairperson sent emails asking why the expenditures that you have spent after while you were there?
Oh no, these were correspondences like you showed me an exhibit just now. I was referring to this correspondence.
Now, you say it verbally, and I heard you say the chairperson.
Yeah, this correspondences usually came from the chairperson to me and I will reply.
And yesterday you told us the chairperson is an old timer, that he doesn't have an email. So how come now he's sending emails?
He sent me letters. No, I didn't say chairperson sent me an email.
Maybe it's a state of
The emails were between me and the council.
Well, very well. I take your word. Perhaps a slip of the tongue, but that's why I said, well, he said yesterday he's an old timer. He doesn't have an email.
They sent me letters.
I'm fine with that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Honorable Ture, we will take 10 minutes before we close, and it has to be a very short question, huh? Just clarification here.
Yes, Mr. Purang.
Yes, sir.
with this RS 73, which is dealing with your dismissal letter.
RS
73. The dismissal letter. If you look at it properly, I'm not sure whether are you sure that it is the president that actually dismissed you?
RS 73.
Yes.
Yeah, it says I'm directed to inform you that His Excellency Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, acting under Section 6 of the Commission of Inquiry, has decided to relieve you of your appointment as Secretary to the Commission of Inquiry into the Financial Activities. You are required to hand over all materials. On behalf of His Excellency, we wish to thank you for your service and wish you good luck. So the question you said,
Yeah, no, I'm saying how convincing is that letter that it is the president that actually dismissed you? Because the president's signature is not there.
yes, I mean,
We just trust them that.
no, I didn't trust them. I felt that the president, it's possible he never even understood the story. And I didn't have any access to the president. I have no way of meeting him to explain or to ask for justification. So whatever they said, the president said, it came from them. The Attorney General mentioned that a decision has been taken, and I believe he briefed the president and the Secretary General, they briefed the president. They might have told him if somebody could just go and say he's Janneh's boy, or like somebody came and tell me, a security officer, I remember, go and tell me that some people told the State House that you are green. So I never shake hands with Janneh. I keep saying, but not that for anything, but I never had the chance to meet him personally. I felt that investigation for me was an investigation. I had no sentiments or anything, but I believe that politics happened to get me out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
All right. Again, another clarity, Mr. Kuram. Well, in your statement, I think you did mention that a valuer was paid $500. Is that right or wrong?
No, what I said here was, if I could remember that the auctioneer, there was an agreement between the auctioneer and the commission that he will be paid $500 per vehicle.
Per vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, in your exchange correspondence, will I see any date? Okay, on AMK6, I think. Yeah, on AMK6, you talked about in your exchange, you mentioned a figure which was about $3,000 that was budgeted for the commissions and the secretary to take care of their fuel and food on daily basis. The 3,000 you're talking about, is it for individual commissioners or for the entire team?
Yeah, this must be in response to when the commissioners ask me, for example, if I spend $200 or $250 on chicken and chips for security officer, and they ask me to justify. So I came back to them and said, but I do sign for you. Because when the commissioners take lunch or whatever, as a secretary, I sign for it. So what I mean was that, the lunch that I sign for them on a daily basis at the hotel takes about $3,000 for a few people.
For an individual or?
No, it's as a group. Yeah, so I was justifying that it is reasonable for me to sign for a security officer to have chicken and chips for $250.
No, I got my answer. The 3,000, I thought it was for an individual that could take one from Banjul to either Nyamina or to Janjambure. Yes, just a final one. You did mention that Council Ami Bensouda and one Amadou are brothers. They're like people who are from the same mom and dad. If I may ask, are you telling us that this particular Amadou, if you can also tell us his second name, and if possible his portfolio at the time of this incident, did he share the same biological mother and dad with the then lead counsel, or what?
No, this was not my statement. This was the statement of Lamin Kamara, the secretary, the permanent secretary at finance, when he was trying to emphasize to me that the finance minister then was Amadou Sane, and he was telling me that the lead counsel advised Amadou Sane to go ahead with the sale of the luxury vehicle. And what he used two expressions, like, I'm not crazy to do that, you know, I haven't been stung by a scorpion. And the other statement he made to emphasize his point, I think he was genuinely clear in his name to tell me that Amadou, I mean, Bakilim, that means it's an expression in Malinga. It's not necessarily they come from the same biological mother, but it's like they have always tend to have a meeting of minds.
Okay, and here if you say Amadou Sane, you meant the former finance minister.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I think those questions are relevant. Mr. Kuran, I don't have a question to ask, but I perhaps need some clarification regarding the sale of the tractor. I have seen a list of about 44 that were sold, huh?
Yes.
Oh, 43 rather. Would you confirm?
43 plus a plow make it 44.
44.
Yes.
Now, the amount of money raised from the sales of the tractors
Yes.
are being deposited in an account
Yes.
at the central bank.
Yes.
Do you have a receipt for that? Who deposited them first?
Yeah, I made sure that he personally did deposited. And, you know, at the time we had collected bank statements, I filed them. The receipts from the bank, I filed them. And the records must also be there at the central bank right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your petition against the lead counsel, do you say because of the petition and the response, or perhaps the letter the lead counsel must have sent to the chairperson resulted to your dismissal from the council, from the commission, or what?
I mean, what the Attorney General told me is that they don't want to work with you. And at that moment, obviously, for me to have lost confidence, you know, with what happened, you know. So, well, he said, you know, that's what they told him. And the executive has decided that I must leave.
Who told them that? Is it the chairperson and the commissioners, or who?
He used the word they. So I do not know who actually he met, and you know, he told him. So because I didn't have any argument with the commissioners.
So let me ask this.
Yeah.
This person who has been communicating to you all the time
Yes.
did not talk to you about this issue at all, that they can no longer work with you. He did not.
No, the chairperson didn't tell me that. He sent me all these letters. I replied. I responded. Obviously, I knew that as he's sending me this, the council is very instrumental in that, what he sends me. That's my feeling. I may be wrong, but that's my feeling. I mean, the commissioners are not involved in, once they make an order, they're not involved in the process in any form. Whatever they hear comes from me. So if they turn out on that day, you know, to mount an investigation on me for 2 weeks, I mean, I think, you see, for the Janneh Commission, I think the commissioners were not as influential as the lead counsel, and I don't think they have managed to impose verbally. So I always say, it's my commission, or it's our colleague are the decision makers, but that's verbal for me. Yeah.
could it be that the lead counsel and team were more instrumental in the operations of the Janneh Commission than the secretary that resulted to your relief?
They are more influential than anybody in the country at that moment. Because if you give me 7 investigators, 7 policemen, and you give them power to go into any office in the country and take any document, any information, and summon any government official, including PAM secretaries, secretary general, ministers, everybody, ex-politicians.
Yeah. Mr. Cohen.
I mean, that's power, man. What else do you call power?
You know the commission have powers.
Yeah.
That was the reason why they are giving all those policemen to go after.
And that power is vested in the investigator.
Oh, okay.
And the lead investigator was the council.
That's fine. Just for one more clarity, you mentioned about, I think Honorable Sar was asking about $1,500 being paid to some individuals, perhaps from America, accountants.
But yes, they are black Americans. I mean, from America.
No, I don't need to go into.
Yeah, well, that's why I laugh. I mean,
I was trying to ask,
yeah,
if you talk about the source of their funding, you don't have an idea where the money is coming from at all.
Yeah, we questioned. And what we could gather was that it was a foundation, but I didn't see any documentation. But that I established from conversation with lead counsel and the AG.
They said a foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't know the name of the foundation? Nothing?
Something like Ford Foundation or something, and, I believe in that line.
And who was paying them? Is it the Minister of Justice or who was the custodian of the fund?
I had no idea, but I know the AG and the lead counsel would know.
All right. Thank you, Counsel. That's all from our end.
Which we're done for the day.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Quran, for appearing. I think at some point we will consult with the lead counsel.
Sure.
Perhaps.
We will definitely need Mr. Quran back.
All right. Then at any point when we need you, there will be communication to that effect so that you can reappear again for continuation from where we stopped with you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much, Counsel and my team. Of course, the media and everybody here present. Until Monday, we will meet again. Meeting adjourned till Monday, 11 o'clock sharp, inshallah. Thank you.